Who you trying to get crazy with this, eh? Don't you know I'm loco?
One of the top female fighters to ever come out of Utah, if not the top. She's currently fighting for Invicta. She's got an impressive 10-6 record. She's fought pretty much all the women around in the flyweight division and was a contestant on season 27 of or 26 of the
26, yeah.
season 26 of the Ultimate Fighter when the UFC opened up that flyweight division.
Yeah, super excited for Deanna to come on and join us today, man. This should be a great conversation.
She's a fun one.
And we got lots of questions for her from our social media posts too. So
that's right. So we're going to get to all those, ask her about what she's got going on, what it was like to be on the Ultimate Fighter, and anything and everything about MMA.
Right on.
Swamp Demon. Woo.
All right, now we're rolling. Back again. Deanna, how you doing, ma'am?
I'm fabulous. Beautiful day.
Appreciate you joining us in this beautiful Salt Lake City weather today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So you're originally from California, right? But Utah's your fight home.
Yes. Correct? Yeah, I was born and raised in California. I came out here for college, and this is my fighting home. This is where Vitamin D was born. I'm sorry, world.
So it's Vitamin D, not Killer B?
It is Vitamin D now. Killer B is the gym that I go to, the trainette head gym, but it's a lot of different names. I have my original fight name that we don't speak of. I have my real original fight name. My coach calls me D-Train, Vitamin D. Lots of fun things. Mostly he just calls me shithead, but that's okay.
I guess that works too.
So where do you train when you're here in Salt Lake?
Well, what?
Where do you train when you're here when you're here in Salt Lake?
When I'm here, I train over at the Pit with Ramsey, and then because I was at the Pit Elevated, that's where I first started. So I've trained pretty much. Court McGee calls me and just says, "Hey, we're training this time. Be at my house and we're carpooling." And so I go, you know what? Like how my whole fight career has been. If he tells me something, I'm doing it. So. That's what I do.
And yeah, when Court McGee tells you to do something, you do it. He came up and ran a couple training sessions at my gym over the holidays, and that was a pretty intense experience. His workouts are no joke.
Yes, I know. I have one later on today that I get to look forward to, and can't imagine how much fun that's going to be. So.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Do you have any fights coming up?
No, not any that I know of yet. I know there's been like some rumblings, and I basically beg every day, like, "Hello, remember me? I'm over here.
Still here."
Exactly. Like, come on! I know you guys didn't forget me because I harassed y'all too much. But so I've been talking to them, and then I know Fierce is doing the card that I think they pushed it back till July, which I wouldn't mind doing that. I love fighting in Utah, so if they had for me, I wouldn't be opposed to that. So
that would be awesome because it's been a while since you've been able to fight in Utah.
Yeah, it's been 2 years because Invicta, my very first fight out of the Ultimate Fighter after the finale show that we don't talk about, the Invicta did their first card that I was on here in Utah, and it was awesome. I loved being able to fight in Utah again. So hopefully.
Why don't we talk about that one? Why don't we talk about the finale one?
Because if you saw it, you know how terrible it was. and I'll be honest, I only remember half of it. So it's like, I can't talk too much about it. So
what made, because
first, and then I don't remember anything till the middle of the third round. One of the girls in the audience who didn't fight, who was on the show, was like, "Deanna, pull your head out of your ass." And I was like, "Oh, I'm still in a fight. Hot damn."
Yeah.
So it was just horrible attempts at grappling, apparently the whole second round. I don't know. I don't remember. So here's what
So we've had a couple previous Ultimate Fighter contestants on here, and we've had a guest from season 5 and season 17, and both of them, ironically, I feel like the Ultimate Fighter would be this huge opportunity, and both of them kind of felt like it was a negative thing. They didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, they both.
What were your thoughts on being on the show?
I absolutely loved being on the show. If somebody called me up tomorrow and said, "Hey, Ultimate Fighter round 2," I'd be like, sold. I will do it again. Maybe it's just because like I'm a weird loner who entertains myself, so I don't really need, like, everyone else is like, my phone. I'm like, well, my dog can't use a phone anyways, so I'm okay with not having that. And all I ever want to do is just train and fight anyways, and then they feed us for free. Like, who would dislike this? I don't understand. So
I would take some free food.
Right?
Not going to turn down free food. Yeah.
For real. And then when after I got out of the competition, once I got knocked out, like, me and Sarge actually got like an air fryer, and it was like a fat kid's dream. Like, greatest moment of my life. So, you know.
Do they just give you whatever you want there at the house?
Yes. So there's a list, and every day you can go and write whatever's on the list, and then the very next day they would either put it in the fridge or they would put it on like a shelf that was designated for you. So literally can give you anything that you want. And me and Barb Honchak, we were testing the theory. So one day I was like, I wonder if they'll really give us whatever we want. So I went over there and I wrote ball gag and gimp mask. And then the very next day I moseyed on my pantry, and lo and behold, sitting on my shelf was those items. So
do you still have them?
I do, in fact, and that was one of my favorite things on the show.
God, I love it.
I'm like, all right, we're gonna go put this on. So I was sitting in the pantry after I just put it on, and Barb just happened around the corner at that exact moment. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" But it was a great way of, if I didn't want to be on screen, like if I was in a bad mood, I'd sit in the back of the van and I'd strap that thing on, and like they wouldn't film me straight up. I'd be in like the background of some shots. So if like you watch the show and look in the background, sometimes you'll see me wearing the stuff. But
hilarious.
I gotta go rewatch it now.
I know.
So have you gone back and watched the show?
Oh, sweet Jesus, no.
I was gonna say.
I have seen some clips that have been played, and like people, whenever they're they're like, "Oh, you were on a show," and they go and watch it, and I can hear it in the background, and I'm like, "Who is that crazy broad?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's me."
It all comes back.
It all comes back, and I'm like, first off, I know like my give a shits hit a real bottom, because I'm like, oh, I have no makeup on. Like, I'm going total swamp demon, no eyebrows. I'm like, oh, guys, that is not a good look. Not a good look at all. So, yeah, I try not to watch it if I don't absolutely have to. I mean, I've watched the clip of Sarge knocking me out over and over and over again, but besides that, no.
Why have you watched that part of it? What about your finish in the first round of it? You had a super good performance in the first fight.
Okay, I've watched that one a couple of times, but it's the other one, because every time Sarge fights, I'm in her highlight reel basically forever. So every time she fights, I'm like, wait for it, and there it is. There it is. I mean, and she's awesome. She's a good friend, and so like I always watch her fights because I want to make sure that she wins. She does good, and so I'm like, ooh, that's right. I'm gonna see myself dead. Oops.
Did they show it? Well, what she fought like last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, she fought last week, right? I don't know.
Was it?
Time standstills.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you
I don't even know what day it is today, so.
It's a Monday. But do you stay in contact with a lot of the women from the show?
A few of them. I should be better at that. Like, I talk to a few from time to time. Like, I talked to Sarge because both me and her, we both trained in Jersey with the same not the same coach, but like in the same realm of things. And like the people that I love, like I need to talk to Barb. I haven't talked to her in a very long time, and I need to talk to her because she's wonderful and I miss her. But like a lot of the people on Team Alvarez that were there, I usually keep in contact. I need to harass Ariel because it's been a while and she's getting married next month, and I can't wait for her because she's fabulous. But yeah, it was a pretty good group. Like, maybe that's the problem with the other guys. They didn't get along with everybody, but I don't know. Yeah. I pretty much get along with everyone, but
that probably helps. That probably helps too. The first guy we had on wasn't well. They portrayed him as the bad guy.
for the season.
For the whole season.
I mean, they will do it. I mean, that's probably why Lauren Murphy hated the show completely. He was like the bad guy.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
This is terrible. I'm like, I don't know what show you were on or what team you were on. Like, she always talks bad about Eddie Alvarez, and I'm like, did I miss something? Because all this stuff that's coming out, like, I remember none of that.
Oh, go watch the show. Go watch some of that part, because it gets real fun with her and him yelling at each other.
Well, I was there for it. I remember distinctly.
Okay.
So, no, I did watch it when it first aired. I watched them every week when they came out.
Oh, okay.
That I haven't gone back really since then. But, I definitely caught up on all the episodes. So, because I was like, look how big of an idiot they really made me look like. So.
You look like the fun, just carefree, just there to have fun and fight.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty true. So there you
fun.
go.
So, do you keep in? Sorry, just one more question about the season for me is: do you keep in touch with Eddie Alvarez?
I see him because we both go to Ricardo Almeida's. Because I went out to Jersey to train, and so I see him at Ricardo's or at Nicatone's gym or like just around, and I mean, he's great. So I never had any issues with him, and I think he was great having him as a coach, and I loved being on his team. I wouldn't have changed it for anything. So
that's awesome. Heck yeah. One of the questions that we had on there that I wanted to ask anyways was what got you into MMA? And this was asked by Kelly and Craig on Instagram. I don't know. I'm assuming you know who they are. Kelly Craig.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
It's Kelly Craig.
Kelly Craig, that's right.
2 first names as her names, and
so
she can't be naturally.
Yeah. So and I'm curious too. What got you into MMA and wanting to fight?
So it was a series of peer pressure.
Okay.
And it's a random story because like it actually started in high school. I was on the water polo team.
Okay.
That's where it first. And the coach of the water polo team, the assistant coach, was also the assistant coach of the wrestling team. So wrestling season came after water polo, and one time he was just like, Deanna, do you ever think about going out for wrestling? I'm like, me being the little fat, like, weird kid that I was like, no, not at all. And he's like, well, you should really go out. I think you'd do good to wrestling. And so peer pressure number 1. I joined the wrestling team because he told me to and pressured me into it and loved it. Wrestled in high school. It was awesome. I mean, I wish I had started even earlier. It was so great. And then my senior year, I actually broke my ankle at a dual meet and missed like the women's state tournament and was out and was like super depressed. But then I came out here to Utah and I was going to college. I had to take a kickboxing class. Because I needed to take a PE class, and I'm like, this is super fun. I hate lifting weights. This is awesome. I could do this for staying in shape. Joined a gym. It was LA Boxing in Orem, and loved it. I ended up one time they were like, hey, Deanna, you want to take a smoker fight? And of course my answer was no, I definitely don't. And then naturally I took a smoker fight because they had told me I had to. Did it, and I'm like, this is fun. So I did like Muay Thai for a while, but you know, I always saw the back room where they were doing jujitsu. Looked super fun. Started doing that. Trained in that for I think I was only doing jujitsu for like 3 months. And they're like, Deanna, we signed you up for an MMA fight. And I'm like, please no.
Okay.
I don't actually want to do that. But naturally, like I said, peer pressure number 4 or whatever that is. I did my fight camp, showed up, made weight, and they locked me in a cage. And go into the cage was like the scariest thing. So I was like, oh my gosh, they are really locking me in a cage. There's somebody else and she's looking at me crazy. I'm going to have to fight her. It's the only way I'm getting out of here. And then like the second that they locked the door, I'm like, oh no, this is fun. I'm okay.
That's for you, huh?
Yeah.
Well, water polo, in water polo, those guys are pretty vicious. You guys they're pretty aggressive. Yeah.
So I think I was scratched with more toenails than I even want to remember. So people are gross. We'll just put them that way.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, you can't see my fingernails? Well, I'm growing out my toenails and my leg hair just to be disgusting. Some are filthy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, but yeah, that's how I got into it.
That's
I
awesome.
start with water polo and then just because, caved to peer pressure about a million times. And now because I never got into it because I wanted to be a professional fighter. I never even thought about that. I joined a kickboxing gym to stay in shape, literally because I hated lifting weights. And then I'm like, flash forward to now, I'm like, well, yeah, that didn't work well. I have to do that multiple times a week. So
Yeah.
fail, ultimate fail, but I guess it's a good fail. So I'll take it.
Yeah, that works out. Did your high school, was it, did they have a all women's wrestling, or were you integrated with the guys in there?
It was a guys team. There was
Okay.
three of us girls who started that first year. It was the first time that there was ever girls, because the assistant coach, his daughter, he had recruited her too. She had started, and she was like a 105 or 103, whatever. And then there was a 98 pounder, and then there was me, who will not say what I started wrestling at, was much larger than that. And it was that I actually didn't go with the girls, because I wrestled one practice with the 98 pounder, and then I didn't see her for a month, and I'm like, what happened to Kim? Like, where did Kim go? It turns out the sheer weight of me wrestling with her pushed in her coccyx. So she was out of school and out of wrestling and out of everything. So literally the weight of me pushed in her tailbone. So yeah, that's when I knew I had good pressure. So
All right, there you go.
horrible. Yeah. Fat kid problems right there. That's all I'm saying.
And now look at you, the badass. Just
Sweet. My top pressure is awesome. So I still sit on people like a half-pound baby elephant. So like half-pound baby elephant.
so the word on social media is that you like to touch people's faces.
That is a thing. Apparently I lack personal space boundaries.
You're not social distancing.
I know I am. It takes all of my I'm social distancing, or I'm quarantining with my mom, and so she really gets the brunt of it, and she hates it, because we'll drive and I'll try and pet her, and then I'll realize I shouldn't, but then I can't stop myself because I can't pet other people, and I'm like, yeah, I really don't think Jimmy Smith liked that at the Invicta tournament I did in September, because usually it's Laura Senko in there, and she knows me by now, but he has such a beautiful shaved head, and I just had to pet it, and he was like, what is happening? I'm like,
he's been around for a long time. It's probably the first time that's ever happened.
There was a look of like, I'm not sure how to deal with this, because nobody has ever pet my face before. And I'm like, well, you've never been in the cage with vitamin D before, so there you go.
So pretty early on, you had a fight with Juliana Pena.
Oh yes, yeah, I did.
And
she was my third pro fight, I believe, or second.
Second pro fight. Second pro fight, and you beat her.
Yes,
and then
I did.
She goes on to win the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, 3 months later.
How crazy is that?
That was a fun one. That hurt a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because literally 3 months afterwards, and it's funny because I went to the tryouts for Tough 18, but I didn't have the 4 pro fights, so they didn't really know me by then or know what kind of weirdo I was. In fact, I talked to them when I was actually on the show, and they're like, if we would have known this back then, we probably would have put you on there, but it's fine. I was on the season I was supposed to be on, but yeah, and that Pena we were sitting next to each other at the tryouts, and she wouldn't even acknowledge that I was in the same room as her. She was just looking off into a distance, and I'm like, honestly, I don't really care, because she's not a nice person, we'll put it that way. So,
oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, she talked a lot of crap on me after that, and was like, I only lost because I took that at like short notice, and she was like 7 pounds over in weight. But
wow.
I was gonna say, because she's a 135er and you guys fought at 125.
Yeah, and we should have fought at 35, because that was like, I had just come back from a grade 3 tear on my MCL. Like, my knee was busted, so I had no cardio going into that fight. Like, I probably shouldn't have taken that one, but I wanted to get back in the cage so quickly. I cut 18 pounds of water weight for that fight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a little on that one. And so I'm like, you mean that I could have like only cut 8 tons of water weight and been fine? But no. We went ahead and we cut a whole lot more of that. And so like, I was on death's bed, curled up into a ball in the sauna, like dying. They had to actually pick me up and put me in the sauna and pick me up and take me out. because I had no energy to even move with that weight cut. But she was just like, oh yeah, I just wasn't in shape. And I'm like, yeah, you can talk all you want, but it was probably my worst fight too. So you can have that one.
So I'm just curious about it. Like what, so if you tried out for season 18, that
Yes.
was for 135 pounds. How important are those weight classes then? Or do you feel like 125 is like your home, or you could just kind of do either?
I'd say 125 is my home. Like I've had one fight at 35. I've had a lot of fights at 25, and then the bulk of my fights have been at 25, and then I've had, what was it, like 4 fights at 115.
Oh,
So
okay.
like I've been all over the place, and at 25 is where I'm comfortable, and I think that if I would have gone back, I probably never would have gone down to 115. I think I should have stayed at 125, but you get into the mentality, oh, I can make it. And,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Just because you
About
can make it doesn't mean you probably should, right?
Yeah.
exactly, because looking back, I remember like the last 2 weeks of my training camp was all just focused on making weight, and there was once where I like almost passed out in practice, and I went to a bathroom, and I was so mad because I was like so out of it and losing, like felt like I was losing like my whole mentality, and I punched a hole in the wall, and then I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. That's like ultimate hanger right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until that gym closed, they were just like, hey, Deanna, what's that fist-shaped hole in the wall? I'm like, listen, when I was hungry, you're lucky that it wasn't somebody's face, because
That's
I was
right.
hungry.
Yeah, it's better the wall than somebody's face, that's for sure.
Exactly. So it would have been, they were lucky I took it out on the wall. So, but yeah, that's why I don't want to fight at 115 and like 35. I don't mind fighting at 135, but when it gets to like higher level fights, those are some big girls that cut down
Yeah.
a lot. Weight matters. 10, 15 pounds, like,
It's a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, especially for my fight style. Like I like grappling. I like jiu-jitsu, that kind of stuff. And so I want to be on the ground, and on the ground you can feel when that extra weight's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've always said it's the higher the level is the more important the correct weight class. You can kind of get away with it at some lower levels, but I
Definitely.
would figure like the Ultimate Fighter, like it was probably better that you waited and did it at 125 pounds, right?
Definitely, because then I
'Cause, like-
wouldn't have stuck fighting at 35, because they didn't have 25 back then. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Then you could have beat Juliana Pena again and actually won the Ultimate Fighter, though.
it's true. That one, and that's what I go back and forth with. I'm like, it was a good thing, but then it was a bad thing. And like, she did some interview. My friend sent it. I actually found it in my phone the other day because they screenshotted it and sent it to me. She did some interview for some magazine. Like, if you could fight anyone else again, who would you fight? And she's like, Deanna Bennett, because I was not in the right mindset, and I know that if I had a full fight camp, I could beat her. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're
I
like,
don't want to.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, even I fought Colleen Schneider, and those two were like kind of friendly. And when Colleen Schneider and me fought, Pena actually flew herself out to Utah here to corner her for the showdown fights. And like they were going back and forth on Twitter, like, I want to see you highlight reel that bitch. And then Colleen's like, I will. And then I'm like, just kidding. I'm going to submit you in the first round. So
Take your back and choke you out. What I'm curious about, so what is somebody like you, does the UFC talk to you at all about like what they want to see from you or whatever to get in the UFC? Is that a goal of yours to get into the UFC? Or are you happy with Invicta?
I really do love fighting for Invicta, but my fight career, I've always wanted to fight the best that's out there, because I know that I can be competitive with the people that are out there. And so, yeah, I would love to get back into the UFC if that was possible. They're just looking for a good streak of wins, honestly.
Yeah.
And I keep playing this game back and forth, win, lost, even though last year, the loss that I had in June, I challenge anyone to actually watch that fight and then tell me that L should be next to my name on that one. So,
Karina Rodriguez fight?
yeah, the one I...
Yeah.
that one, is a little sore spot because I know I won that fight. And anyone who watches that fight, like you watch, I went back and watched it, and even the announcers were just like, well, when Deanna Bennett's on, she's on. That's great. Looks like we're going to have a title fight with her and Porto. And then they announced the decision. They're like, oh.
We've covered that topic multiple times on this podcast about some of the judging.
Should we get going about judging again? Because it's like nobody even, like, fighters don't even know. Sometimes you just watch a fight and it seems so obvious, and then they go the other way, and it's like, okay, so what are you judging? Because it's obviously not the fight.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm not sure what you were judging with that. I mean, in the third round alone, I took her down like 10 plus times and beat her up pretty good. But I mean, sure, I give it to her.
Well, it's so fresh. What frustrates me is it affects people's livelihoods, right? Their incompetence affects people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I'm an amateur fighter, and it's like, it's really disappointing for me. But if you went into somebody's career and this stuff, I can't even imagine. It gives me anxiety to just think about.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Like, I left that fight in June in Kansas City, and I was like, well, I should have twice the money I have right now, but I don't. But hopefully, because I work at a restaurant and bar, I serve and bartend, so I'm like, well, looks like I'm gonna have to amp up work and get some more tips to make up for the thousands of dollars that I'm missing out on right now.
Yeah, that's so gross.
Yeah. Well, even with that, like, that would have been, it was a title contender. So whoever, Karina got the title shot next off of that fight. So it should have been mine. I should have been fighting for the title. I've been working for that my whole career, and I would be sitting right now with my belt on, covering up Big Country, which is my name on my stomach.
Big Country.
He needs
nice.
Covering right now. And I would be having that belt right now on the podcast as we're talking.
Yeah, if that loss isn't on there, that means you're basically 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like 6-1 in your last 7 fights.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That you could be fighting in the UFC if it wasn't for that decision.
Oh, 100%. They said string together a couple of wins. That would have been a couple of wins.
Yeah.
And it would have made a huge difference. And so, Kansas City judges, I don't know what I did. Did I not pet your faces enough? Or did I?
Maybe they needed some. That's probably what they needed. I bet you that's what they needed. Just a little.
So, just a little bit of this.
Just a little bit of it, yeah.
What's the back? Never the front end.
The back. You got to get the back. All right.
Yeah. It's a little bit more caressing, and I'm gonna grow out my knuckle hair so it's nice and soft. So I'll do what I can.
It's just it was just one of the things I because I see some of the girls from your season that are in there, and I felt like you had a good showing. Like, you lost to Sarge, who would have been in the finale, right?
Yep.
And it's like, so there's obviously like no shame in that loss, and you had a really impressive win. So it's, you were the 4 seed, so they obviously thought pretty highly of you going in. So it's like, what are they looking for? Like, and they just tell you just a couple wins.
Yeah, just a couple wins, and I'm like, and I get it. My that Ultimate Fighter finale fight was not my best fight at all. I don't know if it was pressure of everything going into there or what it was, but like, I had also a coach I didn't quite vibe with that well, which he's great and he coaches other people really well, but like, me and him just weren't on the same page. And he was just like, you don't get the takedown, you're not going to win. And so I'm like paranoid, like, okay, I have to get the takedown. I don't trust my stand-up, I guess. And just gets you into the wrong mentality. And that's actually one of the reasons I'm so glad for the coach that I have right now. His name's Brian Wright at a Killer Bee. And he's helped me, those fights that I've had recently, like, he's helped me get into that mainframe. And like, I've been in this fight game, I don't know what, I have like 20 plus fights now. Like, I feel better now than I have my entire fight career. And I'm like, why is it like now I find you as a coach? Why couldn't you have been here like 10 fights ago? Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm going to keep fighting. It is what it is.
It's good. I hope you be in there. I think you deserve to be in the UFC right now from the resume alone and who you've beaten and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm not Uncle Dana, but it's like, well, first I have hair, So there's
Yeah.
that. But no, it's just, you look at resumes and it just makes me. We have another guest coming on next week that's kind of the same situation. He was on an Ultimate Fighter season and he's beaten guys. He has wins over guys that are doing it in the UFC.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yep.
so what does he got to do?
Yeah, we
Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't know. Maybe I got to be one of those like cute prissy girls that takes scandalous pictures. But I'll be
don't
honest,
think
that's
so.
never gonna happen because I can't take myself seriously enough, and I have like 5 teeth in my mouth, and so I'm more of a hillbilly level. So, which actually I have another loose tooth, so I have a standing order from the show actually for Barb Honchak that anytime I lose a tooth, I send it over to her. So she's got one so far. I'll give her another one. Random.
All right.
Wondering. That's probably one of those things I should have kept to myself. So
It's all good.
Hey, it's all right. Let's see. I want to ask one of the questions. We have quite a bit of questions for you on the thing. So
Do it.
I'm going to ask the next one. Let's ask you. Okay, so Philip Carroll. Do you know this Philip Carroll guy? If you don't,
I know he's on my Instagram. So
yeah. Well, he follows you, and he wants to know, how do you find time to date, and do you have a boy? And do you have a boyfriend? So he might be sliding in the DM after this podcast.
Oh, that's a funny one. That's actually a very easy question. I don't, and I don't. So
there you go, Philip. Are you brave?
Check and check.
There you go, Philip.
There you go. I basically, I have no free time, so I don't. Plus, I'm an awkward human. If you put me next to somebody and try and actually have a conversation, like I always said it on the show and to other people, like they're like, "Oh, what do you use to like break the ice?" I'm like, "Well, all right. My number one question to gauge your personality is, if you were going to a furry convention, what would be your mascot animal?" And it really doesn't actually land very well, and people actually get a little afraid of that. And shocker, no one asked me out on a date after that. But what would be your animal? Just curious.
My what?
My fur animal.
So furries, they dress up in animal mascot costumes and go to conventions and do weird things.
Man, I didn't even know
I have never even heard of that. I'm gonna have to Google this because I mean.
See, that's why I'm here, is to teach you new things.
We're learning. Furries, okay.
Furries.
And kiffing.
And we can literally pick any animal we want.
You can pick any animal mascot that you want.
So I could go there and be a shark. I could be like baby shark there if I wanted.
That guy.
Yep.
That guy right there.
Oh, hello.
That's my guy.
With me this week. I have joint custody of my dog, and he's with the other one right now. So I'd show you mine, but he would be probably right next to me if I
snug it up.
you.
Mine are whining at the door. I have to lock mine out because they're loud.
No.
All right.
I love dogs. Best.
So next question. Oh, would you have another question, Zach?
No, I was just going to say, just to be clear, so mine would be a dog, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to go with shark. I'm going to go shark. I want to be a shark.
I'm pretty sure mine's a donkey. Just.
Can I be a shark, or do I have to be furry?
No, you can be a shark.
I can be a shark.
Be animal that you would. So you will be a shark.
I'm going to be a shark. I'm on.
Sure, that's what I'm here for, is to teach you the weird things of the world.
Appreciate it.
Furry. I got you.
So another question is, I don't even know. This seems like a little spam account or something, but it says, who do you look up to in the sport? Like who's one of your favorite fighters?
My favorite fighters to watch are Khabib, and then I always love watching Tony Ferguson fight, but the one that he just had broke my heart. So I love their styles. I love watching them fight, but I mean, I think the real answer to that one is going to be Court McGee, because without him, I don't even think that I would have had the career that I had. Like, he's basically like a big brother to me, even though I'm a month older than him. Don't tell anyone that. But yeah, he's always been a big brother, kind of a big proponent and helping me out with training and making sure I was ready for fights. And the whole reason I went pro, I never thought I would go pro fighting, but I was talking to Scott Bowler, who's the matchmaker for Showdown Fights, and he was talking to me about it. And he's like, well, we're looking for an amateur fight for you, but we can't find one. But if you were a pro fighter, then we can get you a fight and you'll be on the show. And of course, this was at the pit elevated. Court rounds the corner at that very second. And he's like, "You're going pro." And I was like, "So I guess I'm going pro."
There you go.
So, but like I said, I owe a lot of my fight career to him. Like I said, he's like my big brother and love him to death. And if I had to say anyone in particular that I look up to in the sport, it would be him.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a stud.
Definitely. But I love watching Khabib mauling people to death.
Yeah.
So I've heard. So you loved Eddie, you love Tony. So is there? And you were on the opposite team against Justin Gaethje. Not a huge fan of his, or do you still cool with Justin?
He's great. So we didn't have too much interaction. I think I creeped him out mostly. So every time I talked to him, it was just awkward encounters because I don't know why. With random people, I just try and be as awkward as possible and see what their reaction is. And he was not having any of it. He was more like,
he's kind of have like a no nonsense guy.
Oh yeah, he was just kind of like, okay, just the episode of my first fight where I was dancing outside and he walks out.
Yeah.
I was like, "Dad, party!" And he's like, "No,
no.
That kind of set the precedent for like the whole show. He was just like, "You, absolutely not. Get away from me." So I definitely root for him. He's a nice guy.
Okay.
We're happy for him, but like, yeah.
What do you think about what do you think about his next fight with Khabib?
It should be interesting because Gaethje's a great wrestler if he uses it, and it's just, I don't know, it's hard to gauge that just because Khabib is such a good fighter, and he showed a little bit more well-roundedness in the last couple of fights, and so I'm gonna go with Khabib's gonna win, but I think Gaethje's gonna put up a good fight against him.
That's what I'm hoping for. It's just a good fight.
It's a good fight.
Me too.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm rooting for Justin Gaethje, but I mean, as long as it's a good fight, I'll be happy.
I think Khabib wins. I think Khabib beats him. Just my opinion.
It's true.
All right, let's go back to another question. So it looks like Ty Ahart. I don't know if you know Tyler A. Tyler A says, "Do you believe there's a point where it's too late age-wise for someone to become competitive in elite-level MMA fights?"
Why do I get the feeling that Tyler's trying to call me old? Hot damn.
Tyler,
what is
better
this?
watch it. You're going to get
How
your
dare
face
you.
touched.
Well, you've already been in the elite level. I think he's already talking about like, okay, so I'm 31. Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm not getting to the UFC, right?
I'm 44. I'm not fighting at all.
No, well, it just depends. Like, I know it was a while ago and a lot of stuff has improved from there, but look at Randy Couture, how old he was when he got into there. What was he, like 34? His first
Really?
fight in the UFC?
I don't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah, he was older. Yeah.
But things have kind of changed now.
Exactly. Things have changed, but I mean, if there's still an opportunity to, what's her name? Marion Renault. She's in the UFC right now. She actually did not start fighting until I think she picked up boxing gloves the first time when she was 31. Like, she just started training at 31, and she's in the UFC now. I think she just turned 40. She's actually, they just announced her fighting in one of the cards, and you know, there's still an opportunity for it. It just depends on your level of commitment, and I mean, everybody's different. Like me, I feel like I'm kind of a late bloomer myself. Like, I didn't get into the sport until I was 26, 27, something like that. I think 26. And even then, people told me like, "Oh, you're too old," like that, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And so I don't think it rings true with everybody, because there is a decline in athleticism, just depending, especially males, their athleticism, they peak earlier, but like females, their peak is later on. And like I said, right now, I feel better than I ever have. I feel more athletic. I feel like my skills are finally coming together. So I don't think it's not a chance at all. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I'm 31 years old. There's not a chance.
well,
For
I'm gonna
me.
need a get more PMA from you, which is a positive mental attitude. So
Get with it, Zach.
Exactly. Get with it. PMA.
TMA. So,
PMA.
So John at Allstate wants to know, if you were to be a pro athlete in any other sport, what sport would that be? Water polo?
Oh. No, I just mostly like to drown people. So I don't think I would ever want to go with pro with that one. If I was a pro in any other sport, hockey. I've played hockey my whole life.
Really?
I wish there was women's hockey. Yeah. That's like my number one love, and I might get some flack for saying it. And then I've said it before. I mean, when it comes to sports, hockey is always number one, and fighting is number two.
I love watching hockey games. There's nothing better than a playoff hockey game. The intensity, unreal. So much. I've never been to one, but watching them on TV, there's nothing better than a playoff.
No, you gotta go to one day, because when NHL becomes a thing again. So
yeah,
100%, you gotta go to one. It is.
Who's your team?
The absolute best.
Yeah, who's your team?
Sharks, San Jose Sharks.
That's
all right.
Cool.
All right.
I know. Well, that's where I'm from, so that's the whole team.
That's cool. That's cool.
I'm
a Washington Capitals fan.
Red Wings, baby.
Her face. She does not approve.
You gotta love the Red Wings. Of course, they haven't been much lately, but they were a team.
I know. No, they were great. One of my favorite games of all time was the Red Wings versus the Avalanche for the whole
yeah. The fight, the bloody fight.
Yep.
When they all just dropped gloves.
My favorite part was the goalies, because it was Mike Vernon
that was
and
so
Patrick
great.
Waugh go to the center ice right there, because Vernon, I'll give you that. You all had Mike Vernon, and then he went to the Sharks, and I really liked him as a goalie, so I'll take that.
Sharks. All right, Sharks it is then.
100%. And maybe next year they can pull their act together, because if there wasn't a virus going around, they definitely wouldn't have made it to the playoffs as it was. So they broke my heart. Definitely not this year.
Were you going to say something, Jack?
Nope.
Oh. So nothing. So you don't have no fights are lined up anytime soon. So you're just kind of training.
Yeah.
Just keeping things going. Now, are you back in New Jersey, or are you still in Salt Lake?
Oh, I'm in Utah. I've been, and kind of, I mean, it was here or stuck in my little studio apartment in Jersey, and my mom's out here and she needed some help, and so came out here to help her out.
Yeah, it was kind of funny how I got connected with you. A friend of mine at the gym that I've known for a few years listened to my podcast, and he said, "Hey, I got a couple friends that fight. If you're interested in getting guests," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, we're interested in getting guests." So that's how that's why you're on here. So,
and
that works.
When you see Court McGee today, tell him to text me back, because I texted him, asked him to come on, and he hadn't texted me back yet.
Okay. I will 100%.
Thank you. And he'll be like, "Who is that? We trained like once or twice together. Who is that?" No. So we've kind of asked everybody on this. You're a fan of the UFC and stuff. If you were the matchmaker, what are the 3 fights that you would make?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one right off the top of my head. I mean, it'll never happen, but I always wanted to Khabib versus. It'll never happen. Ferguson's never gonna fight Khabib ever. It's not meant to happen. I'm pretty sure that's why the world got coronavirus, is because they matched them up together.
Because they did.
It was the apocalypse. Like,
how do you think that fight would go?
See, that's the interesting. Because Khabib obviously is gonna take him down, but Ferguson showed, especially when he fought Danny Castillo, like he can fight off his back. He can win fights off of his back. He's dangerous there. So that's where the difference comes in. And I think Khabib probably would end up winning, but I think Ferguson has a shot, and there's a chance that he might have been able to got the submission off on him. So I would love to have seen that one.
I think it'll eventually happen. I just think it'll be one of those where we're like, we wished it would have happened like 2 or 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. it'll be when they're past their prime, and
Yeah.
you know.
Do you think Tony comes back the same fighter, or do you think he's going to have a little bit going on here? Well, not that he doesn't already have a little bit going on there, but do you think that fight messed with him at all with Gaethje?
No, I think even though he's off in his own little world and he's a little
Literally.
out
Sure
there.
is.
Literally.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. You know, batshit crazy is probably a more accurate description. I think he comes back from it well. I don't think it's gonna bother him. I don't think it's gonna keep him down. Like, he's the type of person that just keeps fighting and keeps doing his weird thing and then just comes back stronger from it. And so I think he'll be a better fighter because of the loss, honestly.
Okay.
I hope so. I'm a huge fan of his.
Same. Like,
Yeah,
even though he beat two of my friends, but besides that.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I hope he comes back, and I really would like to see that Khabib fight. But I'm kind of with you, Deanna. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
It definitely is not going to happen. So we'll have to see how it goes.
2 more.
Two more.
2 more.
Man, that's all right. The next one I would have to say. Well, crap.
Any fighters.
Yeah. Well, I want to see me versus Vanessa Porto. That's what I want because I want her belt.
That's what we want to see too.
So, I mean, it's going to end up me having to fight Karina for a 3rd time probably to get it, but I'll beat her for a 3rd time. And
There you go.
Okay. So,
Do it.
no, I'm not opposed to it. I'll take it. She's my nemesis. I just didn't know it. It was revealed recently. So, I'll take that. You know, you never know until it happens. And there we go. And then I was talking to somebody else the other day about a fight I want to see, and now I just don't remember because now I'm on the spot. My little brain is not working.
Shevchenko and
Jones.
Weili.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting one. So, I mean, after seeing Willie's fight with Joanna, which was awesome, amazing.
Yeah, great fight.
Exactly. I just don't know if the weight difference will do anything. I mean, Whaley is she's a little big for the weight class, so
Yeah.
I think I would be very interested in watching that fight. And I love her. I wish Whaley would come up and win, and I think that would be great for her personally.
Yeah, I love watching her fight. She's amazing. Well, Zach, you were going to say John Jones and Ngannou?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to see John Jones and Ngannou?
No, I want to see Corey Anderson and John Jones is what I want to see, but
me too.
I know that was tough.
That broke my heart when Corey Anderson lost to Jan Blachowicz, because I was kind of on the train. I'm like, I think Corey Anderson might be the guy. Yeah, because he has such a chip on his shoulder about John that I really thought that he was the guy that he could out wrestle him, and he wasn't afraid of him, and he wasn't going to be intimidated by I'm in the cage with John Jones. And I was, and John's looked very beatable his last couple fights, and I really thought Corey
would have been able to do it. It was just one little punch right there, and that one broke my heart too because Corey trains in Jersey. I met him on the show.
Yeah, that's right.
And me and him actually I love him and his family and his wife, and he is the cutest freaking kid in the freaking world, and I can't handle it. And me and him used to carpool up to Henzo's every Thursday for sparring. So we used to have our little adventure time, going to the city, lots of time talking, love him to death. He actually cornered me for one of my fights. I had a one-off fight in Vegas. He switched coaches, and he's helped me out a ton with his fight style, because even though he's like light heavyweight and I'm a 125er, we have very similar fight styles.
Yeah, you do.
So,
okay.
And we do. It's weird, but he's helped me out a lot with stuff like that. And so, I see him around the gym, and he doesn't even call me Deanna. He gave me one of my million nicknames, which is Puddles, and that was fun. So, I drool. That's where that came from. I fell asleep on the train.
Gotcha.
Rolled
Puddles.
everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was like, "You're disgusting." He's like, "All right, Puddles." And if he calls me by my real name, it's actually real weird now. So I'm like, "Who are you mad at me? Like, what happened?"
Yeah, that's a good point, because that was one he was the one I was really I really thought that he might be the one with
Definitely.
how close that Santos and Reyes got. I really
yeah.
I'm like, man,
One-
I
that
hope
was-
I still hope he gets the shot, but I think John's gonna move on from that division before
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah,
I
think so too.
I hope John sticks around, because I know Corey's working hard, and he always does. Like, he's the hardest worker I've ever met before. You know, always, even now, like he's building, like he built a squat rack at his house so that he can actually keep working out even though all the gyms are closed, and doing what he can do. And I know he'll get back up to the top again. I just hope Jones is still there. So.
Yeah, I do too. It's just, it'll be so interesting if Jones leaves, because there's so many guys that I feel like are right there.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's Santos, Reyes, now Glover Teixeira's right there. Just be Anthony Smith, and you know, and then Corey's obviously right there. Jan Blachowicz is right there. I mean, they could legit do like an 8-man tournament, and it would be incredible at light heavyweight.
There you go.
Speaking of the age thing, look at Glover. Yeah, like you said, Glover Teixeira. There's a guy that's 40 years old, still in there banging and winning impressively.
Exactly, and doing great.
Yeah,
definitely. So.
Yep.
And Corey beat him. Dang it. So.
Well, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up, Deanna. Do you have any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
I really want to give a shout out. You know, I have my gym, Killer Bee, that I go to, my coach, Brian Wright. Like, that guy's a saint for putting up with me. I mean, he kicks me in the liver often because mostly I deserve it, but I owe everything to him, and he's actually running online deals. He started the online program for his gym. I think it's killerbeeonline.com. If you can check that out. I have Thrive Spine and Sports Rehab in Jersey. They put me back together when I fall apart, which is often because I'm old, so I take extra work to put myself back together again. So Bulldog Strength and Conditioning has helped me a ton. You know, I'm in the best shape of my life because of them. New Jersey Nutrition, and I know they actually have their online stuff too. They keep me supplemented, so you know, perform at my best. My people who do my fight kit, Defila, her name's Illa, I can't pronounce it, but it's Defila, Defila. If anyone is ever looking for like a custom fight kit, she does them all by hand, sews them perfectly, and she always is like, "Oh, do you know what you want?" And I'm like, "I'm just gonna let you have free range," and she's never disappointed me.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, they look bad. Yeah, they're badass.
Yeah, she makes them all by hand, and she's amazing. Like the last one that I had was my favorite, and it's super comfortable. Even for like fat kids like me, usually put spandex on me. I'm like, all right, this is uncomfortable. I can't handle this. Like I've had fight kits before, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with this little spandex outfit? Like this is stupid. I hate this. But hers are super comfortable, and I wore it for 3 fights last fight, and it stayed together perfectly. So can't thank her enough. And there's probably a million other people that I could probably thank and have sponsors, but I can't think of them. But they know I care. Please don't hate me.
Do you have a clothing line sponsor?
I
don't actually. Just the fight kit sponsor, and that's it. So hey.
So damage plan.
You can't. I got the mirror thing, so I don't know. You can't really see my shirt. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
I like it. I can see it. Well, I guess we'll have some more conversations after this.
Yeah, we might have to have a few more. We'll have to keep in touch.
There we go. Like it. So hopefully I'll have a fight soon. I know we're working on it. So.
Well, we need to. We're going to send Cody a message after this because I'd love to see you fight here in Utah.
Yes,
in July.
That would be awesome.
We'll have to send him a message. We had Cody on here. He was one of our first ones, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was like a month or so ago. Yeah.
We'll have to bug him.
Please do. He's awesome, and I know they put together a good show there, and I would love to because I know they were thinking of doing like an homage to the old showdown fights and that kind of stuff, and
Yeah, he told us some.
He
some of the
hinted at
names.
that.
Yeah, he told us some names that were on there that were taking it way back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, way
Ton of
back.
people.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would love to be a part of that if possible. Like I had 4 fights for Showdown. Come on.
Yeah.
Plus I want to fight Utah, and I think it'd be great.
Let's do it.
So I'll touch all the people, all the backhands.
Heck
That's
yeah.
something ever.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on with us today. It's been an honor having you on. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're great. And see, I controlled myself. I didn't say inappropriate things like.
Nope.
No inappropriate thing. We don't have to delete any or edit anything out of this. It was perfect.
Thanks. That's
Thanks
my best
again.
behavior stuff.
Thanks again, Deanna. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye.